Hey up everybody and welcome back. Well, I'm really getting ahead of myself with this job. I don't know why, but I'm like this might be 2.5 videos ahead of myself. So I'm getting a bit disjointed in what I've said and what I've seen in comments, so you'll have to excuse me for that. The weather's atrocious. This is Thursday the 22nd or whatever of May, so we're nearly at the end of May and it's raining again. 45 Fahrenheit, that's about 7-8 centigrade, so ground's waterlogged, can't mow the grass or anything, so I might as well be in here doing stuff. So we're going to press on today with this. I ordered spokes for it, and I was trying to think, I think it's maybe a year ago that I last ordered spokes, but they've gone up by 50%. The last lot I got were $90 a set, and these are $135. So it's actually exactly 50%. They've gone up $45. So I was shocked when he told me the price. I thought, my God, it's not that long ago since I bought them. But anyway, so the spokes are on their way. We might even get round to doing the wheel in this video, which would be nice because then I can put the tyre and everything on and we can have a proper rolling chassis. I've only just ordered the rock shocks, so that's going to be a couple of weeks yet before they come. But I'm alright with the struts in. I know things are where they should be. So what we're going to do now to get started is, as I mentioned in the last video, I want to do the bash plate. Because if I have the bash plate holding the front to the back, then if need be I can take the engine out. I'm going to show you something in a second as well. I had this sudden thought this morning as I walked down to the workshop. So I've been out in the shed, which is leaking, would you believe? So there's a job for when it dries out. I've got to get out and get up there and have a look at the roof. So as I say, I think I mentioned it in the other video, I've got a ton of stuff I'm never ever going to use, so I've got to get rid of it. A lot of it's just going to go to scrap. I mean, in the shots sometimes you see a lot of little boxes on these shelves over here. I've got things like a box full of Japanese ignition coils, 2-lead ignition coils. I don't need them. God knows how many Lucas alternators I've got, because every time I do a BSA, of course I put the electrics world on. I must have half a dozen alternators, so I'm really going to go through and just ditch it all. I mean, things like alternators, who knows how good they are. They're all off old bikes anyway. But I'm not going to waffle. So as I say, yeah, getting ahead of myself, but I've ordered spokes, I've ordered sprocket, the right carburetor's on its way, the rock shocks are ordered. The next thing, the exhaust is 1.25 inches. So ID. So I'm going to order some bends, because all the other exhausts have been 1.5 inches, and I want to keep it to sort of the way the engine was designed. So anyway, let's get on and do this bash plate. So as I say, I was walking down here with my umbrella and my coat on this morning, and I had a sudden thought. So I went out, and that's why I was in the shed. The other grease saddle just suddenly struck me. I wonder if that'll go on there. It's not making it too high. 16 inches to the top from the footrest. That's actually less than on the greaser. Of course, as I've mentioned before, this is 70s thinking. they had to have lots of ground clearance. They had to have the footrests up in the air. So I remember I had an Italjet 350. I bought it in Canada a few years ago, and I had to make new footrests for that to lower them. They were so incredibly high. Alright, so that fits. So that saved me, like, I don't know, how much did I pay for these? These were quite expensive, weren't they? So to not use one was going to be a bit annoying. So there's a bit of a gap there, can't be helped. Actually, with a longer mudguard, it's less of a gap. Might even be able to get that to drop down a little bit. Oh, I think it's sitting on that. Anyway, that will definitely work. So that's saving time and, more importantly, money. So let me move you and we'll have a look at this bash plate. Now what we're going to do here is we're going to come down to obviously clear of that, then across, and then it's got to come up and then be flat to bolt to that. So I'm going to make this in several pieces. We're going to have a perfectly flat piece that will go there. Then we're going to have some side pieces that are going to stick up a bit to protect these projections. Alright, so let me get the thing out to decide what that first angle is going to be and see if I can measure how long it is. I hope I think I've got like a 2 foot by whatever piece of 3/16, which is what I'll make it out of. So how many of you were sitting there thinking, Michael, there was a 3/16 inch alloy bash plate on this frame when you got it? You're quite right, there was. So what we're going to do is some rebending. So this has got to be straightened out and then bent further back, like thusly. Okay, let's get in the press, see if we can do it. So what I've done here to make sure I didn't overbend it is I put a big thick piece in, so that what I'm actually pressing against is the two sides of the V, and that's flat. This is actually wider than the V itself. You see, so we have a little buckle here which I've got to bash out. So basically we're straightening it up. So I'm just gradually doing it and moving it along. There we go. So let me finish this off and knock that little dent out. So we'll get all technical again and no more guesswork. Bought this thing, I might as well use it. So we're going to need right, 138 degrees. Actually, I don't need this. I could have done with the ordinary one to just set it. I'll just hold that up against the thing. But we know it's 137.6, so let's go and set up to bend. Oh, we need to know how long as well, don't we? Oh. What have I done with my tape? Oh, no. Hang on. Okay. Still don't know what I've done with my tape. If that's going to go like that. Well, let's say from the holes, because the holes are in that thing. 4 inches from that hole. Okie dokie. Okay. Oh, bleeding miles to go yet. But I'd rather stop short than go too far and have to straighten it again. Still more. I've said this before, but I still don't know what people think are boring to watch. Seem to go quite a bit. Okay, I'm going to switch you off while I do this because I'm getting really close, so I'm going to be in and out in very small increments. Alright, that's taken me, I don't know, 6 or 7 more doodads. I don't know how well you can see that, but that's it. And I've gone back and checked it on the bike. Oh, lorry. Funnily enough, I was having lunch with Steam Shop yesterday and we were both talking about how nice it would be to have a air over oil or a hydraulic pump, one of these, so we weren't pumping like mad. Anyway, let's go and try it on the bike. So let's see how this came out. Did go a fraction over, bugger. I mean the tiniest fraction. Let me just pull that back a little bit. Right, I've got a couple of bolts in the front to hold it firm, so that's just nice. I was thinking I might just put some spacers in there, but I thought, oh, bugger it, because I'm going to have to bend it up and then bend it back the other way to raise it. Five-eighths. Do you know the heating's come on? As I say, near enough bloody June and the heating's come on. Alright, let me decide whether I want to bend this or just make a couple of spacers. Well, I will admit I didn't anneal it because they were only quite shallow bends and it's only 3/16. But look at this, I was just finishing this off and it bloody well snapped. I wonder what grade they used for that. Anyway, I think what I'll do is I'll make a little overlap, weld it on.
So let me bolt this back on and we'll see where things are going to go. Well, it's an ill wind that blows nobody any good. So of course, using this original plate, all the bolt holes were in the right place. So I bolted that on the back, and what I'm going to do is, while it's in situ, I'm going to weld that. I'm going to weld this on, cut that to shape, weld it all up, and that'll work. Alright, so let me take it back off, get that good and clean, and actually, of course, I've got the welder over here. We'll weld that up. Now I got that welded, both sides. So let's put it on and then we can build the side places. I'm going to fill this hole up and that hole up and maybe mill some slots in, but as I say, I want to get this on because it ties the frame together. So there's that bolted on front and back, so that now is really nice. There's two more bolts go in there, but the holes line up, so that's fine. Right, so the next thing we want is a little bit of protection round here. So rather than just make it sort of straight up and down, we'll try and get a curve in it like we do with the others. I have to make this in two pieces, because normally I wouldn't have this sloping. When I make it, I would have it sort of out here so that I could there's a longer piece. Oh yeah, that'll do it in one. Alright, so I've got to start sort of marking it from the underneath to get the curve, and then when we can put it on, I can tack it in a couple of places, take it off and weld it. You know, I've put this engine a little bit too vertical. It should be around like that a bit, I've noticed, because the drain plug isn't exactly at the bottom. Don't think it's going to do any harm, and I'm certainly not going to start remaking engine plates. They took forever to make. It'll be alright. Okay, let me gonna go to about there. Let me start cutting this and I'll bring you back when I'm closer to the right template. Now I've cut my cardboard template out. It curves round like that. I might cut a bit more off it. But what I've got to do now is mark where we're going to start doing our radiating bends to make it curl. So it's straight up to there, down there. So now they all start more or less they curve out from there. If we start bending it like that, in that fan shape, it should start to bring it round. So I won't bore you with all that. I'll just start doing those bends and we'll keep offering it up. So there's the first three little bends, and you'll see how it started to make it curl from this centre point. So I needed to do quite a bit more curling. Well, that was surprising. Going up and down with a press on this is a bit annoying, so I thought I'd try it in that brake, and it bent this. I mean, I've decided to use 1/8 for round the side, and it worked remarkably well. Now actually, we need to cut. That's not good, is it? That sticks out too much. Do you know what? I think I need to bend it there as well. And that needs cutting back there. Let me try this extra bend and see how it brings it in more around that way. Right, I've actually been bumping a little bit round some of the body forms, but that, apart from the little gap at the top which we can fill in with some weld, is, I think, exactly what I want. Okay, so let's put a bit of tape on to hold it, and we'll get it tacked in a couple of places, get it cleaned up. So let me get that tacked and then you can see it better. So there's that side tacked on, clear there. I might put a, when it's finished, I might just shape that a little bit to get it away from this. I'd quite like to get it so it's not a corner there, to get it curved underneath. I don't know, I'll see what I can do. Weld along here, weld down there, leave that and see if I can, because that's where that hole is actually that I've got to fill, so I might try and sort something out under there when it's done. The only problem with all this is, particularly with alloy, when I do these biggish welds, no matter how much care I take, it always makes it move a little bit, so you've got to put it back on and the holes don't quite line up. I don't know if I bother. It's 20 to 4. Yeah, maybe I'll take this off and weld that up so we can see what's what and do the other side tomorrow. So there's this side done. Same on this side. I might sort of cut the corner off just to, oh, it doesn't really need it. But I tell you what, I wish I'd have worked from this side to do the engine plates, because I definitely should have the engine like that. You see this thing here, I'm sure that the stamped inlet is there and these lines should be horizontal. I don't see it making any difference, but it's going to annoy me. Really going to annoy me. Oh, I don't know. I could take this back. Oh, bugger. I could take the top frame mounting bolt out, take these off, and then let it fall forward. Of course, then I'll have to do something. Then I'd have to cut some of that out, but that's minor. Oh, actually, yeah, it would. Really what it needs is lifting up at the back and tilting like that to get the chain line and everything still the same. What a pisser! And of course the thing is, I've got to make up my mind about doing it now. Oh, those engine plates took me so long to make. That 1/4 inch alloy really takes, even with the bandsaw, shaping it. But if I don't do it now, then it means everything, you know, if I sort of leave it till the bike's finished, then the exhaust is going to be in the wrong place, the airbox is going to be, or the connection to the airbox is going to be wrong. Now I am planning to cut this off, plate it just to get rid of that. Oh, bugger it, I'm going to leave it. As I say that, well, this thing here makes it look a little you get the feeling that that should be sort of level. I don't think the oil level being slightly different is going to make any difference to it. Nah, we're going to leave that like that. Alright, so, well, it's sunny again today. We've had a couple of actual dry days. I've been working in the garden and stuff, but I had to keep popping in here. And every time I walk past this, I looked at that engine and I thought, no, I shouldn't have it in like that. So I spent a little bit of time, put a couple of spacers in, lowered that so I could get this down, took the plates off, jiggled it around. It needs to come down a little bit for this, but that's how it should fit in. And I think, as you can see, I think I can just modify these plates, maybe have to weld a couple of holes up, re-drill them. Same with the front mounting, but it just annoyed me. You know, it's like when you put a shelf up or something. Or I'll tell you what, my Jag is like a metallic bronze colour, and I had to get, when I first got it, it had a little rust patch at the back window. They took the window out, did everything, and when they sprayed it, I could see a difference. Nobody else can see a difference in the two colours, but I can, and it annoys me. So this was exactly the same. It just kept annoying me. So good job I'm ahead of myself with you seeing these things. What I'm going to do is, actually the spokes have just come for the back wheel. So I'm going to do the back wheel so I can sit it properly with a tyre and everything on. Then we'll take this off and jack up under the seat pillar here, and I can check and make sure everything is right, because you know this frame, just if I left this standing with the wheels, I think even without the engine in it, it'd probably start to spread out. So I'll get it set exactly right, and then I've got the doors open because it's a nice day. Then we'll get these plates sorted out properly. I'll probably have to do something with the bash plate as well, but as I say, it just, that's the way it should be. This is now horizontal. I fell foul of it because I was working from the other side, to be honest, and of course BSA's, Triumphs, all the British bikes, the cylinders are vertical, and I kept getting everything, I was chocking it up so the cylinder was vertical. Never really looked at things like where the filler is. On the other side, there's the sight glass here, and the way I had it, the filler was down here. So that's, putting it in like this, that's dropped, the back's come up, so that's why this is higher. Anyway, let me get the wheel done and then we'll sort this out. Right, I've done the back wheel. Of course the sun went in by the time I'd got it all laced up and trued, but it was hazy sun. I was able to warm the tyre up a little bit. The good news is I've got this in, I've just run the straight edge not only along the tyre to measure to here, and the wheel's in the centre, but I ran the straight edge the whole length, and the gap here is equal on both sides, which means the wheel's in square in the centre, but the gap here is the same as the gap there, which means I've got the frame exactly straight. So all I've got to do now is put the end on this wheel spindle. Now we can tighten that up, and then we'll start and look at doing these new engine mountings. If you're wondering what this strap is for here, I don't trust that top tube. So I've got the front wheel, oh yeah, you can see, excuse me, the front wheel's clamped in this thing, and it's also hard up against the stop at the end. So these, I'll set these up, and then we're going to take the plate out and jack it up under here. We'll take the weight under here, and then I'll know exactly what's what. And I can measure from this bolt hole here to that bolt there on the engine plate, and then make sure it's the same on the actual frame holes. I know we're near enough, damn it. We're probably going to have to remake this, but as I say, I'll feel happier about the engine. Alright, let's get on the lathe. So that's the end piece made. So what I'm going to do is batter that into there, then weld it up, then we'll put this in the collet block, put some flats on that. I might as well do it all the way around. Although of course we did have that little annoyance last time I did that. But anyway, let me knock that in and oh, pardon me, I got a bit of a cold actually. But I still came out here to make videos for you. God. Alright, let me do this. So there it is. It's actually bronzed on. In the 6-side collet. And we're going to take it to being a 15/16, which means I've got to take 224 off each one of these. So let's set this to 0. And we'll take 50 off. Yes, no problem. 100. I don't know if you can actually see this, but it's a bit difficult getting the camera in and working the mill. Got this wrong. No, I haven't made this. I'm not cutting it wrongly, but that nut isn't going to be big enough to give me plenty of meat. I think this is 17mm, isn't it? Oh, hang on. Yeah, this is barely going to be big enough. There's the hole. Oh. I think I'll make it for 1 inch. Well, that's only like a 30 seconds bigger. Oh, I can't have you standing around. Let me finish it off and we'll see what it's like. Well, serendipity saves the day again. I was supposedly taking 224 thou off on each side. when I stopped there and thought this doesn't look good, I'd taken 200, or I was starting to take 200. So I went on and I did 200 on the other side, and it came out at 15/16. So I don't know where I got my measurements from. But anyway, there's a 15/16 socket. And once I've taken the very ends off, that's a perfect fit. So, give a new title for these videos, aren't I? What can Michael get wrong next? Alright, let me let me put that in the lathe and just tidy those edges up, and then we can put the wheel in. Alright, so that's that in, bolted up, spacers in, just checked everything is as it should be. Tighten these up so that it's all held together. I'm going to take the bash plate off now and jack up the back of the frame. Right, so belt and braces, or as I would say here, belt and suspenders, because they're called braces, suspenders. So I've measured from this bolt hole here to this bolt hole there on the bash plate, and it's 13 inches. And I've just checked from there to there, it's 13 inches. So this is supporting that, this is all pulled, nothing should move. Right, now what I've decided I'm going to do is this is going to have to come backwards. See how this one is virtually touching the frame, this one's about half an inch forward. So I'm going to cut this plate off, and we'll use it later on. And then I'm going to, yeah, you can see it. And then, you know, I just tapped these with bronze, so I'll cut them off, take them off. I'm hoping I can use all of these with just the modified plates. So let me take them off and then we'll stand the engine in and see what's what. So I've got both of them off. Hang on, what have I done with the front one? There's the front one. That came off easily because it was just a little bit top and bottom. The back one, of course, was bronzed on all the way up. So what it did was I ground into both sides with a carbide bit and then it broke off. So I'll sand out the remains of that bronze and then I won't have any trouble bronzing the new ones on. So let me see if I can stand the engine where it needs to be. So that's about where it wants to be. Maybe a little fraction lower, I think, for the that's about it for the chain. It's actually catching on the wood, so that back wants to go down very slightly. Let's risk lowering this support. I don't think anything's going to move. Yeah, that's very nearly spot on. And the top mounting, I'll have to move it around a little bit, won't I? No, the top mounting is about there. So I'll weld that up, drill a new hole there, and we'll make that the point we do everything from. This one, I have to think of something else to do that, but that's no big problem. And actually the front here, cut a bit off the bottom, that plate will go on, and then shape that a little bit. Actually, let me find grab a 3/8 bolt. You don't mind waiting, do you? This front is going to go really easily, I think. Oh my goodness. If I redo this bolt to move that, I think 3 of those will line up. Yeah. Very good. Alright. Well, I don't know if you can hear it. It's raining again. I think that'll do for the day. One of the things that really made me decide to do it was that actually with this vertical, I noticed the sight glass was almost level with the filler. It was right up here, the sight glass, funnily enough. So I didn't like that at all. And we are looking at good, we're still going to have 13 inches of ground clearance. Do you know that? 13 and a half even. Lots of clearance at the top. When I make the manifold, the carb's going to be tucked in nicely. Not bad at all. Alright then, we will see you all tomorrow. Alright, welcome to another wet, miserable morning. I think we've had about 4 dry, sunny days in the entire month of May. Alright, so today we're going to do these engine plates. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to mark that, cut a bit off there, then I'm going to weld up those 4 holes. And then we'll come back and get this. Top mount, as I say, is going to be easy. I'm not sure how we're going to do the bottom mount. I might be able to take something off this plate, I think. So that'll be that. And hold your chairs, I'm going to move you over slightly. Let me zoom you in. You ready? You can see there how close we are to that just being able to go straight on there. Little bit off here so that fits in there. I think if I cut a little piece off that to drop that back, this will just about go straight on. So let me go and start on that bit to the back, and then we'll look at putting that first relocated hole in. Serendipity strikes again. So I've just done one plate. I cut that so that it clears there a little bit. That mounting is about here. I think I can do something at the back. I don't know what yet, but the front one fits. How about that? And I think it clears both of those mounting holes there. Let me have a look around this side. Oh yeah, actually it's miles away from the one on this side. Oh, that's because I haven't got the, hang on, that's because I haven't got the plate on. Plate. Oh, I don't believe I can be that lucky. Yeah. Okay. Now I'm still going to get it mounted at the back first because I can do my measurements then to make sure the chain line is right. But that is about spot on. This was wobbly. I nearly lost it actually when I was moving around. But you remember these couple of things? Oh, I'm talking. I think these must be for footrests. There'll be a tubular type footrest with a plate on it that bolts onto there. So I put a couple of 8mm bolts in and I was able to use those like tiny jacks to get this level to where I wanted it. Just check the carb, that's fine. That's put our weight a little bit further back as well, which is nice because it's a short bike. So we need to keep weight on the back wheel to maintain traction and stuff. Okay, I think what I'll do now is cut the other plate to match, weld up both holes, and then I'll see about getting a mark on there. Right, so I've filled the two holes in, the extraneous holes, and put a, what do we call it, transfer punch through there to get this. So hopefully I put that on there, and that on there, and that should go through there. So what I'm going to do now is pop the spacer in here. Excuse me. No, that's not, that's a rear wheel spacer. That's not it. What have I done with it? Oh bugger me, where's that gone? I just had hold of it because I used it to help me keep the transfer punch lined up. Hang on. Right, so there it is bolted in with the spacer that I calculated should be the right one to go in there. I've actually brought this engine a little bit close back, but it's not touching anything, we're fine. So, this touches the frame if I put it on the outside of the sprocket. So I've got this on my thing, so that's to the inside of the sprocket. Right, and it is measuring 2 1/4. The inside of the sprocket. So this sprocket's 1/4 inch, so 2 1/4 plus 1/4 to get to the outside of the sprocket should make this 2 1/2. Now again, you've got to just take my word for this, but two and a half. So our chain line is right. pretty sure that will clear everything. It's fractionally higher, but it's in a good spot. With the chain tensioner down here. Oh, pardon me again. My cold's getting a bit worse. Yeah, that's just spot on, you know. Alright, so that's okay. Everything is fine. This is still horizontal, look. So all we need to do, I'm going to move you, hold your chairs, is to put our various spaces in there, and I can get this damn thing bronzed in again. Alright, so let me put the spaces in and bolt that up, and if that's right, I'll bring the welder over and we'll bronze that in. I'm going to have to do a little something maybe at the bottom, because I can't bronze it to the original bronze, so there's about maybe half an inch of it that I can't bronze, but I can make it up all nice and rigid and strong. Right, I've got the front bronzed up, all tightened up, so I've got this fastened up. I'm going to use transfer punch, which should go through there. I've got the other plate bolted on the other side. So let me go and drill that. Then I bolt that up and we can look at these bottom mounts, for which I actually have had an idea. Right, so this bottom one goes through and it actually hits the tube. If it was a bit further over, so it was dead centre of the tube, I might have drilled through and sleeved it, but it's off centre and I didn't want to mess around like that. Or I suppose I could have moved this hole, but I started to look at having something mounted to this bottom plate, and then I thought, well, that's not going to be that strong. So what I came up with was this, right? So it's got a 7/16 nut on the back. It's going to bronze to there, but here, you can see it's got a bit of a curve in it. That is going to be up against the tube, so it's going to be bronzed to the seat pillar tube, and it's going to be bronzed to the bottom, and would be easy without the back wheeling, but it also would be easier if you weren't looking over my shoulder. Oh dear. Let me see if I can come around the other side. I just had it in to check it. See, that goes in there like thus. And oh, hold on. Also get to get some short 7/16 bolts. That goes in there like that. And then I'll screw that nut up there. And that hold it in place while I bronze the bottom. So let me get that done and then you'll see it. Right, so there's that bronzed in, the short bolt in. So when I've got it all apart, I'll bronze the back piece. I've made the one and put it on the other side. But now I'm going to show you something. Hold on. I had a viewer who very kindly sent me a link to, what do they call them? Cars and cameras, something like that. Because they were building something with this identical engine in. And they rushed the build a little bit for me seeing things, because I was hoping to watch the bit with the wiring, which they didn't show. But anyway, when they were getting the engine out and everything, one of the fellas, it's identical engine, said, that's strange that that's sort of etched or engraved is the word I'm looking for, into there. Normally it's cast in. And look at this. I'm going to move you again. We're wobbling a little bit because I'm holding the camera. There's the cast in number, look, on the back of the cylinder. 198 centimeters cubed. 198 cc. So it's probably on your 200, which is fine. I mean, I would quite like to put a Tiger Cub engine in something, and that's 200. But anyway, honesty in advertising, eh? Right, let's have a look now at the bash plate. Right, so the engine's in there good and solid. I was able to take the jack stand and everything out. Oh, this cold is moving in my chest a bit. Okay, one thing I'll mention, I know you disembodied voice, but this is Monday morning, after you just saw part 4 yesterday. And so I've only just got to see the comments, and lots of you said you've got to have the engine sloped forward because of the oil and everything. So I hope you're all happy now that you've seen that I came to the same conclusion and rectified that. Alright, let's see what we've got here. Can I get that in there? Boink! Actually, I was just going to say two-handed job, but I have. I never thought of this. I have a mechanical hand. Yeah, yesterday as I was sort of into the evening reading the comments, one comment after another was, and I'm sort of thinking to myself, yeah, I've done it. Now we might get away with just putting some spacers in the back here. This seems to be going on all right. We come round the other side. This is going to finish this week's video off. This cold is really annoying. Linda's got it even worse than me. It's more chesty for her, so she's coughing and hacking like mad. Right, let's tighten them up so that we see how the angle of this plate on the frame sets them. That's no good, Michael. Two spanners the same size, not one bigger than the other. See, that's bringing it up. That's touching that. I think it's touching on this side as well. But I could get away with just putting a couple of spacers under the back. And I think what I might just do, oh God, that's just touching right there. Actually, I can afford that to go in, so I think if I work this piece here to come out a bit, it'll pull that in to give me the stretch of the metal, and we should be alright. And then all, as I say, all I've got to do is put some spacers under there, so that hole changing it around, hang on, oh no, you're nearly at 24 now. Let me just lift you up, hold on 1 second. God, look how bright the light is being picked up there. It looks fine to the eye. Anyway, what I was going to say is everything's good now. So let me just work on that a little bit, and that'll be that done. Put a couple of spacers in the back. Oh, there's a ruler. There's a measuring stick. 3/4 inch. I've probably got some. That's fine. Fine, fine, fine. Put the spacers in there. That'll work great. Alright, so that's going to be it for this week. As I say, I hope you're all happy now that I changed the engine. We'll start doing really interesting stuff next week. I'll do the... I think first thing I'll do is make them out. But I'll tell you what. Hang on, let me move you a little bit again. I've been looking at this. You see that the actual suspension mount is right down here. I could have that tube there. Lower the saddle height by 2 inches. Of course, probably then this wouldn't fit. Anyway, we can think about that later on. Although if I'm going to drop that down there, that would affect how I make the airbox and things like that. The other thing I've noticed is actually I could bend that down a little bit, because this is higher than that. That would have the cable going like this. But the exhaust would really have to come up here to clear it, see? I'm going to have to, oh, we just get it to dip down. Now, I'm creating problems. Alright, so that's it for next week. For this week, we're virtually caught up with ourselves now, because this is part 5 and I'm finishing it in the week when you'll see part 5, but I still have a couple of days to work on. So until I see you next week, oh, and in fact, of course, while you're watching this, I am out at this year's first trial. Probably going to be muddy. So you'll hear about that next week. So until then, stay safe and enjoy yourselves.